need time to correct it and do the corrective measures the agency talked about. That's all I've got time for. We're committed to doing the right thing. This shows it, and this is what's happening with all of our operations on site. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Tim Watson.
My name is Tim Watson, T-I-M-W-A-T-S-O-N. I'm the general manager at Wind Waste Seneca County Landfill. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. As some of my colleagues have mentioned, we are working very hard to give more insight to our operations at our facility so that the community is aware of how we prioritize the safety and the health of our workers and the communities we serve. We have recently received questions regarding the safety of rail cars that are stationed on our yard, specifically asking if the rail cars should be watertight. Most recently, and just about 2 hours before this hearing, we did indeed receive a notification of violation from the Seneca County General Health District relating to a special condition that they have incorporated into our operating license this year. We are currently appealing the condition with the Environmental Review and Appeals Commission and the Supreme Court of Ohio. We requested a stay for the execution of this condition because a requirement for a watertight rail cars that are carrying construction and demolition materials is not a permissible law anywhere in the United States. It is not permissible because it is nearly impossible to attain and duplicative of the protections waste transfers and landfills perform. With respect to this alleged violation, a rail car was damaged at one of our other facilities and was transferred to us for repairs. The car in question was sitting in awaiting transfer for repairs on property owned by the CSX. We received a sample of material collected from inside the car from the third-party testing service hired by the county. We also used a third-party firm to test the residual material in the car and revealed that the material in the cars was safe for landfill disposal and that no hazardous material was present. To add to my comments about the intended protections of this amendment being duplicative, the community is protected because of our robust testing protocols. Because rail cars are stationed in our yard for a longer period of time than anywhere else during transit, if rail cars presented any potential negative impact to ground or surface water, the impact would be expected to show up at our site. Every drop of rainfall that touches a rail car and is exposed to the materials within the car is collected in our stormwater ponds. Our stormwater ponds are tested twice per month by a third-party independent environmental consulting firm, and we have years' worth of data that shows the water consistently meets primary drinking water standards. Thank you for this time.
Thank you. Next up, we have Nathan Taylor. And then on deck, behind Nathan, we have Deb Tyson.
Good evening. Nathan Taylor, Nathan-Taylor. Thanks for allowing me to speak tonight. I'm an engineer with Wind Waste Innovations and the site engineer at Wind Waste Innovations of Seneca County. I'm a professional civil engineer in the state of Ohio and have been in the waste industry for 19 years. Prior to working for Wind, I was a site engineer for another national waste company with landfills located across the state of Ohio. There's been a lot of discussions tonight about the liner system and how it is constructed, so I wanted to speak about the liner construction at Seneca. Since my time at Wind Waste Innovations of Seneca County, we have constructed 5 landfill cells and 14 acres of final cover, all of which consisted of a liner system that achieved or outperformed all Ohio EPA testing requirements. The Ohio EPA liner testing regulations are extensive and have been developed to ensure that composite liner systems, that is, liner systems consisting of both recompacted clay and geomembrane, do not leak and do not pose a risk to groundwater and drinking water systems near the landfill. Wind goes through extensive testing both prior to the start of each project and during actual construction to ensure that all liner and construction requirements are achieved. There's liner testing performed pre-construction by third-party independent consultants and labs to ensure that the material is manufactured correctly and meets all requirements. There's also testing during construction performed by an independent third-party consultant and inspected periodically by the Ohio EPA throughout all construction events. After each construction project, a report is submitted to the Ohio EPA to verify that all pre-construction and construction testing has been completed and meets the required standards. The proposed expansion was designed to meet the stringent liner testing and construction requirements previously mentioned. All Ohio EPA regulations pertaining to liner testing and construction will be performed during each and every construction event, as they have been in the past, to ensure that the extraordinary groundwater compliance history is maintained. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up we have Deb. And then after Deb, we have Steve Roberts.
My name is Deb Tyson, D-E-B Tyson, T-Y-S-O-N. And I would just like to say that moving forward, I would like to see that all three of these divisions are always here at the public hearings, if that's what the permits are about, whatever divisions they are. I do appreciate that you come down a little bit on the lay terms so we can understand. But again, I'm going to ask for a better understanding of our standards as regards to water, the air, pollution, and if they actually are meeting where we're at here, where we live, according to the state and according to the federal guidelines, so that we know if this isn't a remedial, because again, I asked the question, but then I listened to all the comments, and it was, in the way I heard it, remedial. So I know it's got better, but we're still in remedial unless somebody can show me something in facts. And that's what I would like to send forward. Thank you.
Steve Roberts. And then behind Steve, we have Mike, Yemeni?
Hello, name's Steve Roberts, S-T-E-V-E-R-O-B-E-R-T-S. I'm with Beaver Excavating. We've been in business for more than 70 years. Beaver has a staff with significant landfill construction experience. We believe our core values in safety, quality, and integrity play a big role in the construction process. Beaver's been performing construction at Seneca Landfill since 2020. Wind Waste is an important customer for Beaver's workload and maintaining jobs. Beaver has up to 60 employees during the peak of our season for Wind Waste. And specifically at Seneca County, we've got better than 15 employees, and all of our crews are local to the area. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike?
Yep.
After Mike, we have Waylon Garza.
Hi, my name is Mike Yamine, Y-A-M-M-I-N-E, and my company, Systems Group Technologies, we have been working with the landfill since about 2010, 2011, so quite a while here, that we've been providing automation and control systems for the landfill, which include a lot of the data collection and things that have been talked about. I have 5 full-time, 3 part-time people that work for my company, all of which have had involvement at the landfill over the years. And basically we do a lot of work in landfill, wastewater treatment plant, water treatment plant. We do a lot of power cogen facilities, natural gas type projects, and also dairy. So a lot of the things we do are regulated by the EPA, so we're used to working around that environment, so to speak. So basically, since 2011 and working at the landfill with doing the controls we do, we've worked with 3 different owners of the landfill, and basically Waste Innovations has been very adamant about trying to implement the best-in-class system of what we do and continually upgrading. So a lot of the systems we've actually put in place back over 10 years ago, we've been upgrading, and they basically listened to our recommendation as to what to do about updating equipment and keeping things current, and they don't question that. They recognize those are things that we need to do. So a lot of the things also we get into, I've heard the questions about monitoring and all that. A lot of these things we do are the real-time monitoring. So seeing what all those gas readings are that are around the facility, any issues going on with the leachate collection and pumping system, those are all real-time notifications that go out to the employees and as well as us, that we kind of watch and see what's going on and maintain the system. So before closing, I just kind of wanted to add, back in 2018, I actually purchased property about 2 miles away from the landfill, relocated my offices from Findlay, Ohio to just outside of Fostoria. We're a Fostoria mailing address. And so we've been glad to move out this way and be a neighbor. You know, I do have a well, water's been tested and all that. We have not had any issues. But we enjoy being part of the Fostoria community, and we've been working with other Fostoria locations, such as the wastewater treatment plant, getting involved in water treatment here as well. So in closing, I just want to say we're proud to be a partner with Wind Waste in providing our solutions and helping them with the operations and their dedication to being compliant with environmental specs and all that. So thank you.
Thank you. And sorry I mispronounced your name. Next we have Dave Fullett. I'm sorry, yes. I'm ahead of myself in my cards. Next we have Dave Fullett.
Good evening, everyone. Oh, my name is Waylon Garza. I'm a contractor. I've been proud to be a contractor at Sunny Farms Landfill on their expansion project. I'm a resident of Clyde, born and raised in Clyde, been there my whole life. I know they had some concerns about what was in the rail cars, talking about possibly nuclear waste. I can tell you, I spent the first 10 years of my adult life working in the nuclear power industry, one of the most heavily regulated industries probably that we have. I spent 10 plus years over at the Davis-Besse Nuclear Power Station in Oak Harbor, doing everything from refueling the reactor to maintenance, and I've seen it all. I've even stood on top of a nuclear reactor. We're monitored every day. It's going in, going out. We spend, there's a nuclear dry fuel storage place that keeps all the nuclear fuel there. We walk by it every day. There's a big, there's a lot of opinions about what goes on out there, and people say, I don't want that in my backyard. We live in a technology area where it's not cut and dry. We have to have certain things in place to sustain our modern day technology. We are heavily consumer users in our society. There's things that we need. I understand, a landfill is not the most popular place, but the fact is, we'll go home, we'll have dinner, we'll throw that food wrapper away, we'll plan, we'll sit and talk to our wives. I got 3 little girls also, talk about putting a new roof in the house, talking about, as will millions of other Americans out there, do the same thing. And we don't think about when the roll-off dumpster gets delivered to your yard, the trash truck comes by every week that employs people, where that stuff ends up at. Yes, some of it ends up here, some of it goes somewhere else, but we've dealt with other landfills across the country, across Ohio I should say, that's from Ottawa County up to Lorain County, we go all over in an hour radius. And I can tell you this place is well ran by a group of professional people that care, that the landfill is important to them, it's important to me, and it's important to you, even though you don't realize it. So, I'd like to thank you for your time, and have a good evening.
Dave Fullett. And then next on deck we have Mike Cool.
I'm Dave Follett, Environmental Compliance Manager. Follett's F-O-L-L-E-T-T. Just want to talk about some of the odor monitoring we do out at the site. Wind Waste Innovation in Seneca County currently conducts odor monitoring twice per day by our third-party consultant, Bossier Environmental of Fostoria, Ohio, in accordance with the 2019 consent order. In addition to twice per day odor monitoring, the site has 5 permanent Jerome meters, which detect fugitive H2 hydrogen sulfide emissions and are recorded on an interval of every 10 minutes. In 2023, of over 250,000 data points, there were 99.9% of all recorded readings that were below the consent order limit. Wind Waste maintains and monitors a 24/7 odor complaint hotline in accordance with the 2019 consent orders. Order complaints are investigated by our third-party consultant, Bojan Environmental, within at least a few hours of the complaint. Since June of 2023, when the hydrogen sulfide treatment plant went online, 11 complaints were received that were possibly landfill related. However, 11 is too many. We will continue to proactively work to identify and correct order issues attributed to the landfill that could impact our neighboring community. For example, I'd like to describe 2 recent order complaints. The first complaint received was responded to by Bojan Environmental at the location of the complaint. However, based on the wind direction and nearby sources, it is likely attributed to a farm, not the landfill. Another complaint recently received was likely attributed to the landfill. However, we had proactively found the potential order issue, had sent a notification to let the community know that we would be making repairs to our landfill gas control system, and had corrected the order issue before the complaint was filed. As mentioned, we are actively working to foresee any potential order issues, taking every complaint seriously, and we are mitigating these issues quickly and will not allow for persistent issues. Thank you.
Here. Next up, Mike Cool, correct?
Thank you. I gave you guys a copy of my thing that I was going to say. You all have a copy of it. I sent it to the EPA.
Okay, submitted it by email?
Yeah, you all should have seen it already, correct? Okay, I'm Mike Cool. I'm a retired teacher, coach, and principal. We've lived here since the mid-'80s. We love Foster. My wife Rhonda and I live in a perfect neighborhood out at Hammer Heinzman, in that subdivision near Loudon Meadows Golf Course. I've asked to express my opinions tonight, and I will be brief. Before I begin, I want to thank the Seneca County Commissioners, the ones we have now, not the ones that passed all the permits back in the day that now work for. Anyway, Bill Frankert, Tony Paradiso, Ty Schuff, you guys have all done a lot. Senator Bill Reineke's been behind us to come to our aid to try to save us. And this evening, it's my goal is just to get my message across to our members of our EPA. They are our EPA, so I apologize if you took the wrong thing from any of us, because we are counting on you guys. We know that it works, and that we have to have you guys to save us. We know we have to have you guys. I'm sorry, I shouldn't even have to do this, but I'm here for our people. Ron and I love Fostoria, yet in my 40 years in this area, I've never witnessed anything quite like the repulsive stench and stink that continually emanates from the nearby toxic landfill. Some of you know the Australian-based company by their fake name, Wind Waste or Sunny Farms. I believe their name should be changed to Gloomy Dumps. You heard me, Gloomy Dumps. And I'm not against these guys. I want these guys to get the hell out of there and get a job at anywhere. Save yourself. Don't believe in their bullshit. They're killing us. Right. This company's lack of care and concern for our health, including the stink, is unacceptable. Rhonda and I, along with our several other worried and fed up citizens, have testified at our State House in Columbus. After our testimony in Columbus, Rhonda has had our well tested, and we found those results are good. So that bullshit about all the good wells. We found that we have elevated rates of lithium, lead, uranium, nickel, boron, and also these substances impact kidney and thyroid functions. They hurt kids' physical and mental development, and they're poisons. They can affect your cardiovascular, immune, nervous system, and our blood system. The most detrimental toxin is the carcinogen findings, and we are aware that for people who get cancer sometimes after initial exposure, it may take up to 30 years. At 70 years of age, it is requiring added effort to haul our drinking water. I will continue to haul my drinking water. I have no choice. I'll haul it every damn week. So our testimony at the State House regarding this company's blatant refusal to comply to the law, the leaking liners, the lies, The contamination of water and air they produce is enough to stop them from doing further damage to us. Tonight we can make a change for our future. No more out-of-state trash. I urge our EPA members to protect us by putting an end to what this company of polluters is doing to us. Stop the nonsense now. We shouldn't have to spend countless hours fighting for our freedom to live in peace in our own homes. No more out-of-state trash.
Next up, we have Jeffrey Yarnell. And then after Jeffrey, we have Rick Buffalini.
Jeffrey Yarnell, Yarnell, Y-A-R-N-E-L-L. Thank you for having me this evening to speak on your behalf. I am part of Atmos Technologies. We are an environmental solutions company for over 40 years. We provide eco-friendly and sustainable solutions for various industrial challenges. Atmos is specified by state DEP and DEC for roughly 70% of our work. We work heavily in the landfill and environmental remediation or cleanup industries. Being a good neighbor is a core to who we are as a company, and from the beginning in working with Wind Waste, we have noticed the same qualities. They prioritize safety, the environment, and the community, and with dealing with hundreds of landfills, transfer stations, and things of that nature, they far exceed a lot of our customer base in how they hold or prioritize these traits. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Rick.
My name is Rick Buffalini, B-U-F-F-A-L-I-N-I. So my name is Rick Buffalini. I am a principal engineer at Civil and Environmental Consultants Incorporated. My team and I prepared the solid waste and surface water permit application for the Wind Waste Innovations of Seneca County landfill expansion. I'm a professional engineer registered in Ohio and have worked in the area of solid waste management since 1988, and have prepared many dozens of solid waste landfill permit applications. I wanted to speak to the process we go through in preparing this permit application. The project to evaluate the potential expansion began with a subsurface investigation that included 144 new and existing soil borings in the area of the proposed expansion. The borings were drilled to determine the characteristics of the soils in the expansion area and determine the depth to bedrock. We also installed 18 piezometers, which are wells used to determine the water levels in the expansion area and other important groundwater information. These new borings and piezometers showed the subsurface conditions in the proposed expansion area are consistent with prior investigations, and importantly, that the area meets all of the siting criteria in the Ohio solid waste regulations and the US EPA federal regulations regarding groundwater resources. The firm I work for, CEC, implements quality assurance procedures for all projects we perform. That means that every boring log, every aquifer test, every calculation, every drawing, every report is prepared by an engineer or geologist, and then that work is reviewed by another qualified person. Any question or corrections of the reviewer are discussed with the person who prepared the work product, and changes are made as agreed upon. After that, the work is then reviewed by a more experienced engineer or geologist quality manager. Any questions or comments of the quality manager are then addressed with the originator and reviewer until all questions are addressed to the satisfaction of the quality manager. At that time, the work product is signed off by the quality manager. So every field log, calculation, drawing, plan, and report in this permit application was reviewed and approved within CEC in accordance with these quality assurance procedures. This methodical approach of multiple levels of review are effective in providing an accurate and thorough permit application.
30 seconds, please.
Finally, I wanted to point out
that Wind Waste Innovations of Seneca County hired my firm to prepare the solid waste and surface water permit applications. I've personally been impressed by Wind Waste's commitment to prepare a permit application that not only met the Ohio solid waste regulations, but also considered community concerns. This concern is best exemplified by their decision to excavate the phase 1 portion of the landfill, which is unlined, and to place it in a newly lined area. This investment to excavate 2 million cubic yards of waste and transport it to a new lined area for that waste is significant.
Final statement, please.
But when identified early on that this needed to be part of the project due to significant environmental benefit and desire to be a good corporate neighbor. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Michael Rogozinski. And then after that we have Dave Thomas.
Yeah, hi, my name is Mike Rogozinski, Rogozinski, takes a while. I work for Continuum Environmental, I'm one of the owners. We are a specialty contractor that does landfill gas. I've been doing landfill gas for 30 years or more, and actually have worked at this landfill on and off probably for the last 20 years from the previous owners, who I agree did not do a very good job with some of the stuff they did out here. Their landfill gas system expansion was hit or miss at best, but since Wind Waste took it over, it has gotten significantly better. And I've worked with a number of the Wind Waste higher management for a number of years at different landfills and through Wind Waste, and these guys are doing it right. I've done the last couple bits of the landfill gas system here, including horizontal collectors in the working phase to collect the odors faster and not the 2 and 5 year requirement that is based on the EPA. I also was part of the group that installed the big header going over to the sulfur treatment plant, which is now running, which is definitely helping with the H2S odors. The good thing is if they end up doing a RNG facility out here, the best thing about it is they will actually put more landfill gas collection in, not less. So that would be a benefit to pretty much everybody and also help in decreasing the odors. Thank you.
Thank you. Dave Thomas. Dave Thomas? Okay, fair enough. We have, then next we have Daniel Smallwood.
I'm Dan Smallwood, S-M-A-L-L-W-O-O-D. I'm a professional engineer. I work with Bear Goody and Associates. We have worked with Wind Waste for 4 years. We help with verifying the thickness of the clay, the layout, and the as-built of the gas wells, surveying all aspects, including ALTA surveys, certification of landfill layers, and work with construction of the H2S plant. We work closely with several consulting engineers to help make sure the landfill meets the Ohio EPA regulations, which help to protect the environment. We have worked diligently with Wind Waste to verify that the clay liner, cap, and gas system are constructed according to the permit. I have found that Wind Waste is deeply concerned about the air and groundwater and work to protect them and follow all EPA regulations. I grew up close to a dump where everyone just backed up and threw their garbage in an old creek bottom. I was under the impression that all waste was treated that way. I work hard every day to make sure that the environment is protected by the current EPA standards and not just thrown into an old dump. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up I have Serena Reese. And then on deck after Serena, I have Jim Walker.
Hi, my name is Serena Reese. It's S-A-R-E-N-A-R-E-E-S-E. Okay, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight. I don't have a question, but a statement, because frankly, I've had a gut full of non-answers, false promises, and canned responses over the years. Many of us here know that the EPA and other three-letter organizations are captured by the very entities that they are to regulate. But Proverbs 15:27 says, "He who is greedy for gain troubles his own house, but he who hates bribes will live." Isaiah 54:17, "No weapon formed against us shall prosper." Many of us know we are fighting a spiritual war. 2 Corinthians 10:14, "For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty in God for pulling down strongholds." And so we must put on the whole armor of God, as it says in Ephesians 6:10-18, "Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in heavenly places. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. Stand therefore, having girded your waist with truth, having put on the breastplate of righteousness, and having shod your feet with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, with which you will be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked one. And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, being watchful to this end with all perseverance and supplication for all the saints." That's how we save our community, not by our own might, but by the power of the Holy Spirit and the authority that God has given to his children. So in closing, Isaiah 54:11 tells us that God's word will not return to him void, but will accomplish everything that he sent it for. So I declare and decree Luke 12:2-3.
30 seconds, please.
For there is nothing covered that will not be revealed, nor hidden that will not be known. Therefore, whatever you have spoken in the dark will be heard in the light, and what you have spoken in the ear in the inner room will be proclaimed on the rooftops. Hebrews 12:14. Inasmuch then as the children have partaken of flesh and blood, he himself likewise shared in the same, that through death he might destroy him who has the power of death, that is the devil. Satan and his wicked plans with this landfill are destroyed in the name of Jesus, the name above every name. God wins. Choose your side. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you. Jim Walker. And then next up, we have Renee Vogelsong.
Good evening. I work for Tetra Tech.
Sorry, if you could state and spell your name.
Okay. Jim Walker, Walker.
Thank you.
I work for Tetra Tech. I'm a registered professional engineer with 48 years of engineering experience. My experience includes 38 years of landfill design and construction projects on over 100 landfill facilities in the Midwest, with a focus on Ohio and Michigan facilities. My experience with Wind Waste Innovations of Seneca County began in 2018 under the former owners, and includes design and construction of 5 bottom liner projects, temporary and final cap projects, 10 gas collection and control projects, stormwater management design, slope stability evaluations, and odor monitoring plans. I would like to state that the landfill has been constructed and managed in accordance with the Ohio solid waste rules. The bottom liner, final cap, gas collection, and stormwater management systems have been designed to be protective of human health and the environment. My experience with Wind Waste is that this company has hired reputable, honest staff, contractors, and consultants, and takes the right actions to maintain compliance without cutting corners. I believe the design of the proposed expansion will meet the solid waste rules and have systems in place that will continue to assure the protection of human health and the environment. Thank you.
Thank you. The next up, I have Art Moore.
Renee Vogelsong, Vogelson. Body language means a lot, so I think we are all wasting our time except that center row. Because sitting there watching y'all, they come up here and talk, I'm seeing this, I'm seeing eyebrows pop up, I'm seeing other nods, and yes, any of us come up here, I see stone faces. That's not cool. So we know where your vote already is. You waste our time. But I gotta say, they brought up about the leaking cars. There's nothing against it. I've been a commercial truck driver for many years. I haul reefer units. I haul fresh meat. It bleeds all over in the trailer. I gotta get the trailers washed out after every load. Water leaks out. Believe me, I have been stopped. Plain water coming out of the back of my trailer, out to portholes. Been stopped. Ohio Patrol stopped me. Yeah, they want to see what's leaking. They want to know what's leaking. There is laws out there about leaking units, whether it be a rail car or semi-trailer. But you know, when I come down 12, come out of Bettsville, used to be, I seen Poet. I can see them not too far out there. You know what I see now? I see a mountain. That's what I see. The mountain draws the attention. We don't want it. We don't need them to get higher. Up higher and bigger? Why? So other people can see it, so we can be a talk other places too? That ain't cool. It's already high enough. It's big enough. Have them slow down. They want a business, go somewhere else with a business. But take our trash in at a better rate. They've over doubled our rates. We can't afford to go there. So, that's my piece.
Thank you. And on deck after Art, we have Jesse Varsho.
Thank you for the, my name is Arthur Moore, A-R-T-H-U-R, last name M-O-H-R. Thank you for the opportunity to speak at this hearing. I am the founder of Sniffer Robotics. Our company was founded in 2016, headquartered in Michigan, operates throughout the United States, primarily focused on providing emission monitoring services to the waste industry. We have developed a patented drone system to better detect landfill emissions. It is used throughout the U.S. on nearly 150 landfills for detecting methane leaks from the landfill cover system. The system is used to proactively help isolate potential odor sources over the landfill cover. We call this application odor hunting, which is an additional investment above and beyond what is required for compliance with landfill emission monitoring. WIN is using our drone technology, referred to as the sniffer drone for this purpose, to help detect potential odor sources that they can address quickly and thus mitigate odors leaving the landfill. Our technology was introduced to the market in 2020. And while we are in many landfills throughout the United States, those that are using our technology are truly championing the use of the industry's most advanced technology and system for emissions monitoring. WIN is demonstrating their leadership to invest and adopt technology beyond what is required for compliance to improve their operations, improve the environment, and thus improve their standing in the community. We're very grateful for WIN's adoption of our technology and are proud of the contribution our company is making to support WIN's efforts to improve the environment overall and that of their community. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. You have Jesse Varsho. Yeah. If I could just have a minute. So I did notice a few people need to leave, and I did want to call your attention. If you wanted to testify tonight and had to leave, or need to leave soon, we are accepting comments through email and US mail, so make sure you get this address down before you leave, so we, again, capture your testimony. So, sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. My name's Jesse, Jesse. Last name is Varsho, that's V as in Victor, Arsho. I'm a senior principal engineer for Geosyntech Consultants. I've been asked to speak here on the state of practice of landfills in relationship to this expansion. Landfills are modern facilities, are highly regulated, and have many environmental control systems that are put in place to protect the public health, welfare, and safety. For example, for groundwater protection, this expansion utilizes a composite liner system. The composite liner system, in combination with the separation distance to ground resources, provides additional redundant protections to groundwater. It's not one system that we put all the emphasis on. There's multiple systems that work in place to ensure groundwater protection. There are several questions related to the design life of some of these types of systems. Again, we have to look at, there's multiple systems or components that protect the groundwater. For example, the HDPE geomembrane has been modeled to last over hundreds of years in a buried condition. The compacted clay liner has been around for 10,000 years. This material, whether it was placed by glaciers or in between glaciation periods, we know has lasted for that period because we can look at the geologic history and understand its function. There's also several questions related to independent testing and CQA testing. As an engineer of record, I take on the personal liability and professional liability of any sort of engineering design that I stamp, including the CQA. Any engineer of record takes us on. So it's not just the owner, it's the engineers and scientists. We take on this personal responsibility, and therefore we want to make sure everything works right because it's our name at stake. Related to economic benefits and secondary environmental benefits that come around with that is the expanded landfill will continue to provide jobs and add significant revenues to the local communities. These revenues, for example, could exceed $7 million in landfill fees, with the vast majority of them going back to the local communities. These fees, many times, are used for recycling and other waste diversion initiatives that help expand the life of the facility. They can also be used for secondary cleanup projects that improve the communities. The construction of the expanded landfill will also inject dollars into the local and regional economy. Continued development of the landfill expansion will add additional dollars to these economies, with significant amounts of construction materials spent, such as steel, rock, culverts, gravel, and pavement being sourced by local suppliers.
30 seconds, please.
Thank you. Operating expenses such as employee wages, estimated over $7 million, that will add additional money into the economy and support other benefits and industries. The continued availability of the landfill will assist the local government in attracting and retaining industry, since many industries consider the availability of safe, competitively priced disposal capacity and assessing where to locate their businesses. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next up is Myra Spires. And on deck, behind Myra is Roger Holman.
Oh, you want me to go this way, that way? Okay. All right, good evening. My name is Myra Spires, M-Y-R-A-S-P-I-R-E-S. I am a neighbor of the Wind Waste Innovations, or formerly known as Sunny Farms Landfill. On January 31st, 2024, just last week, my child was outside playing basketball, as any child should be able to do. He came inside and said he could smell the landfill. I went outside to verify, and indeed, I could smell the landfill too. I made the phone call to the odor complaint line. After requesting a call back, I got a call the following day. The man I spoke to said the reason I experienced an odor emanating from the landfill was because they had to put more dirt around a gas well. He said they were doing improvement work around the time frame I had reported. I asked him about the other 10 phone calls I have made since the end of October. He said they are always making improvements with their gas collection system, their new gas collection system. My family and I have watched, heard, and smelled this landfill for over 10 years. We have watched it grow into huge mountains. We have heard the continuous beeping of their backup alarms from their dump trucks and equipment, the thumping and scraping of their excavators cleaning out the rail cars in their transfer station, day in and day out. We still experience the H2S or the SO2 gases that they say they have fixed. I have been calling the odor complaint number since 2013, and here we are 11 years later, still doing it. If they are allowed to expand, this will double the size, double the noise, double the smell, double the amount of rail cars in people's backyards, double the chances of hurting our community and our environment, all at the same time drastically reducing our property values as documented in local appraisals. If they are currently always making these improvements using their new gas collection system and still having problems keeping the gases contained, it doesn't make sense to expand. Please do not allow this expansion. Thank you.
Thank you. Roger Holman.
My name's Roger Holman, Holman, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Loudoun Township trustees of myself, trustee Jason Painter, trustee Kevin Reinhardt, and the fiscal officer Vicki Coppas. We have carefully considered the proposed expansion and increase in daily tonnage allowance of the Sunny Farms landfill. We have concluded that for the following reasons we are opposed. Too many unknown health risks now and for future generations. As the mountainous piles of garbage, unknown waste, and debris grows, the more difficult it will be to correct any issues identified or unidentified. There will likely be an increase in rubbish along the tracks, the roads, and in neighboring fields. Drains next to the residential areas giving off foul odors that rob residents of enjoying their homes and the outdoors. Residents have reported that they have to deal with rodents invading their property that have come in on the trains. Potential and probable pollution of air and water now and in the future. Decrease in land and property values. Allowing an increase in daily intake would mean longer hours of operation and more noise for the residents close to the landfill. The overall quality of life of our residents and our neighbors will be lessened by this expansion. We strongly encourage the EPA to delay any decision until the impact study that the Seneca County Health Department is ordering. This is a study that we understand is required by neighboring states. We feel that we have taken our fair share and don't really want to get any bigger. There has to be a remote area in the state of New York that is not surrounded by a city, 3 subdivisions, and numerous other housing. It's time for them to move somewhere else. Thank you.
Thank you. Lou Watkins? No, you're not last, but you're in order we received it.
My name's Louis Watkins, Louis Watkins, and Loudoun Township kind of told it all. We're tired. We're tired of this. It's got to come to an end, and it's you people that are going to bring it to an end. You're going to let us keep suffering. I know you guys get to go home to your nice cars, nice homes. We have nice homes too, but we got to stay inside. The smell, looking at what they're doing over there, the constant all-night slamming around of the railroad cars. Would you guys like that? I mean, no, none of you are. You're not gonna shake your head or say anything against it. And it's bad enough our water's undrinkable. We have to haul ours in all the time. I mean, enough's enough, isn't it? I think I said this the last time to some of you people. We do not want this anymore. This is our home. You want it in your backyard, please, by all means, I'm sure they'll open one there for you. Talk to him, talk to the boss back here, he'll probably set you right up. No takers on that one? We don't want it neither. I mean, really, is there no compassion with you people? None. I mean, we're done. You've got us over a barrel. You've got our place destroyed. You know, we can do that on our own. We don't need help by you guys bringing more railroad trash in and more trash. And it gets more and more and more. My goodness, I think they got their own railroad yard back there, just full. I mean, if you guys ain't been there, you just missed it all. And I left my pictures at home, and I regret that highly. Because I'd like you guys to see those pictures I had. I took a lot. Because I've been to the Foster City Council too. Have compassion when you make that decision. I don't know who's in your pocket, but who's in your heart on what that decision is. Every one of you. Think about these people that live here, their homes, their lives. I understand these employees. I don't care about your clock. You might be trouble. Okay. But, I mean, each one of you, think about it for a minute. You know, sure, there's people here, I've heard all kinds of geniuses up here about how they're just making it better for us. I'm not smelling it any better, and I'm not seeing it any better. You can't even drive 23 going south without seeing the old friendly dump come from Finley 12. There we go, here it is again.
Final statement, please.
Oh, no, not done yet. So, can you guys please at least think about it before you throw some decision down that we have to live with, not you guys. We have to live with it. And you're supposed to work for us, not them. Even though they maybe have bigger pockets than we do, but our trust is in you guys. The lady that recited all the verses, I hope you listened to those. Those were good ones. God bless you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Bruce, is it Hannum?
Yes.
And on deck behind Bruce has Ben Miller.
Yeah, my name is Bruce Hannum. I'm a Bruce, B-R-U-C-E-H-A-N-N-A-M. I'm a Seneca County resident, and I have been the coach of several youth and high school programs in Seneca and Wyandotte County. And when I've needed support, one of the questions earlier tonight was, is there any good that comes out of, are there good things, good examples? And so anytime that I've needed support financially, I have 2 jobs and little time to try to raise money, and every time I've gone to the local support, they've asked me what I've needed and compiled what needs I had, and they've been gracious, and I appreciate their support.
Thank you. Ben Miller. On deck after Ben is Bob Potash.
Good evening. We talked, I thought I was talking to the panel, but I'll happily face you, especially you.
Wind Waste Innovations, Seneca County is asking for an increase in maximum daily waste receipts, 12,000 tons per day. However, we will be limited to a yearly average of 3.2 million tons per year, or 8,000 tons per day on the yearly average. Wanted to bring that important point up. We have heard a lot about out-of-state waste, and Wind is not oblivious to that. And while we take waste locally and regionally, we are part of an important ecosystem in terms of safely disposing of appropriate waste where we are permitted. Ohio exports millions of tons of waste to other states every year. Sending waste across state lines is helpful as well. Ohio has 2 nuclear power plants that generate nuclear waste that is all exported to other states. The flow of waste is vital to Ohio and the U.S. economy, and protectionism has long been the enemy of capitalism and the free market. I appreciate your time, and I'm mostly proud of these folks right here who go to work every day to protect the environment, and they're doing a damn good job of it. Thank you.
Bob Potash. On deck behind Bob is Don McGee.
Bob Podak, P-O-D-A-C-H. The Bob you can spell forward or back, it's the same. I'm not going to turn my back on you or the employees. I'll turn my back on these people because they turned their back on us. And I'll explain to you why. I'm a Fostoria resident, and I've been trying to figure out where the water goes that leaves the landfill area. It goes either down the east branch of the Portage or it goes down Wolf Creek. The east branch of the Portage flows 1 mile, and then the city of Fostoria pumps their water out of that into the reservoirs. 1 mile. Now I've got 2 replaced knees, but I can walk a mile. It's not going to take too long before whatever leaks or happens in the surface water gets down there. I contacted Amy Keogh back, and she's the Ohio EPA Division of Drinking and Groundwaters, in December of 22. I told her that I had the EPA report for Northwestern Ohio that was done by your office. Well, sort of done. And I said, you know what? It's interesting that this drinking water source assessment by those folks didn't even have the landfill listed as a possible contaminant or even listed that they've seen it. They actually even said at our on-site, we didn't see it. I don't know where they were. So after talking to her for quite some time, she got back to me, sent me an email, and she said this. Thank you for the call yesterday and for sharing your concerns about the swamp. Kind of interesting, source water assessment protection. Report not including the landfill. I've checked with our team and understand that when the inventory was done and created in 2003, the landfill was originally outside of that area. I call it bullshit. They couldn't find it in 2019. No reason they couldn't find it in 2003. We used our newer GIS version, and the landfill, the 2013 expansion, was now properly located. So they only moved like, a few acres north, and now it's located.
30 seconds.
So she said, I'll take my time. You are so correct. The current landfill is within the Fostoria Water Source Protection Area and should be addressed and updated the assessment report. I've asked our team to revise the assessment and provide it along with the recommendation to Fostoria. I gave some copies of these folks up here. I gave it to the media. I've talked to the city council. I talked to the health department. When the EPA can't even find the landfill to list it, and then they did list it. They put one line down here.
Final statement, please.
They said 1 landfill. That's all they said. There's one landfill. Did you know that there's underground injection wells? 3? Where are those? Nobody knows. 1 golf course. 3 septic systems. There's got to be more than 3. So do I trust these people? Absolutely not. Here's the problem with all of it. And this is my final thing. There's 5 groups that want this landfill. Employees, contractors, a hell of a lot of engineers, tax receivers, and the Australian owners. Who don't want it? The City of Fostoria, Seneca County Health Department, Hopewell Township, now Washington Township in Hancock County, the local residents, and yes, unless you have family working there, because Washington Township don't want the pond. Pond, they talked about it not being a pond right up here tonight. It's not a pond that you wanted to build over there. The landfill will tell you that they've never had a violation. Call the cops. The landfill will tell you they've never had a violation. I put a copy of that violation in there. Ben's argued with me that for years. There was a violation. You pumped raw leachate out into the pond. You've been under a consent order for almost 15 years, which means you didn't follow the rules and then they caught up with you and you had to fix it. The Constitution of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness says that we should have that. And they've not been a good neighbor. They're more like your brother-in-law that you never liked from day one. And now you're supposed to love him because he changed his name and put on new clothes. I call wrong. Sorry, but I can't do it and I won't do it. And I speak for a lot of people in this room. Why is it that, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know why you're going to approve this, because nobody in the community wants it, except the 5 people that I talked about. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, I have Don McGee. Don McGee. The next up, we have Deborah Reinhardt. On deck, after Deborah, I have Gary Click.
Hi. My name is Deborah Reinhardt, DeborahReinhardt. My husband and I live in Hammer Heinzman Addition on State Route 18. In June of 2022, I submitted concerns regarding the landfill's expansion and citing the concern of leaking rail cars and their effect on the groundwater. Now, 18 months later, I learned that the EPA will request Sunny Farms to perform random rail car audits. Of course, you won't perform your own audit, but we can be assured that the landfill will let us see those records during inspection. In May of 23, I wrote the EPA expressing disbelief over the lack of audit testing for the groundwater test results submitted by Sunny Farms. It was only after the concerns were raised by myself and other residents that Seneca County Health Department expanded their well testing. We're grateful to see reactions to some of our concerns, but they're just that, reactions. They do not address what happens when we have rail cars emitting airborne contaminants and groundwater health hazards, because these cars are exposed to all of the elements. They're sitting on our county roads and in the neighborhoods of our towns while waiting to be processed at Sunny Hill. The letter to the editor written today by the Vice President of Landfills for Wind Waste wants us to embrace their efforts and be glad we live near this mountain of trash. The letter stated that 99.9% of their 2023 air test readings were within EPA compliance limits. What the letter doesn't say is that means 262 readings in 2023 were not within the EPA compliance limits. Their state-of-the-art processing will not improve the trash going into the landfill. It will not improve the air quality emitting from miles of open rail cars. It will not address unfiltered, uncontrolled drainage coming from these open rail cars as they sit out in the elements. It will not replace the trees or the farmland being lost as they take over our county and the surrounding counties acre by acre. I beg you, as a resident of Seneca County and as a neighbor to one of the most advanced landfills in the country, deny this request for expansion. Our health and the health of our children and grandchildren are in your hands. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Gary Click. On deck behind Gary is Dr. Clay Wolf.
So my name is Gary Click, C-L-I-C-K. I am your state representative, and I came here to do more listening than talking tonight. And I do want to thank you folks from the EPA for being here, for listening to my constituents. Their concerns are very real, they are very important to me, and I trust that you will take them into consideration as you make your decisions in the future. Senator Reineke sends his regards. He intended to be here tonight. However, he was traveling and his plane was delayed, so he could not be here, but he wanted me to express that he is with you in spirit tonight. He cares about your concerns. I so much appreciate him for Senate Bill 119, which I am also supportive of, which is going to help remedy some of these situations tonight. As I said, I came to do more listening than talking, and I could not express your concerns any better than you have tonight. But some of the things I've heard are that this is a request for expansion, and yet the landfill is still operating under a consent order, which means they have to have special permission not to follow the state laws regarding emissions. So until you can actually follow the laws without special permission, without a consent order, there should not be any expansion. That, to me, that's just kind of, I don't hate anybody, but I'm just listening to the constituents here in our community, in our district. And when I raised 4 boys, I've got 4 grandchildren. Until you learn to follow these rules, you don't get any privileges. That's how it works in the Click house. Is that how it works in your house? And so that's what my position is. And I know that they said earlier in the rules, they said we can't look at the popularity of a project. Well, I'm elected by you to represent you, so I do pay attention to what your will is and what your desires are and what makes a difference for you and what makes a difference in our community. So I'd just like to hear, before I take my seat again, I'd like for you to stand up if you oppose this expansion and let me hear your voices.
Next up, we have Dr. Wolf.
My name is Dr. Clay Wolf, C-L-A-Y-W-O-L-P-H. I am the president of the Seneca County Board of Health. Tonight I am providing brief comments on the board's behalf on the proposal to enlarge the landfill owned by Wind Waste Innovations. The Board of Health also will submit detailed comments in writing on issues that are just as important as my remarks tonight. The Board of Health urges Ohio EPA to deny the applications of Wind Waste for the vertical and lateral expansion of its landfill. This expansion would more than double the volume of waste interred in this landfill. According to 2022 statistics posted on Ohio EPA's website, the landfill has been receiving an average of 7,275 tons of waste per day of operation. This was the highest average daily rate for all landfills in Ohio. Now Wind Waste has asked Ohio EPA to approve the landfill's allowable daily intake of waste from 7,500 tons to 12,000 tons per day. Wind waste permit application represents that its actual waste intake is likely to average 10,500 tons per day if Ohio EPA approves the expansion. At that rate, the landfill would have one of the highest daily waste intake rates in all municipal landfills in the country. At this waste intake rate, wind waste represents that the expansion will give the landfill a remaining life expectancy of about 14 years. However, the landfill has repeatedly filed faster than its owners predicted, in one case 8 years earlier. If Ohio's EPA goal is to provide a waste disposal destination for local waste, it should not increase the landfill's allowable daily intake. In the meantime, the landfill has had a long history of violating environmental requirements that has resulted in an extraordinary number of court orders, administrative orders, and penalties for violating the solid waste, air pollution, and water pollution laws over the past 2 decades. The most recent court order issued in 2019 gave the landfill until December 2023 to comply with air pollution control requirements. Wind Waste argues that the landfill now has new management that has improved the landfill's compliance. However, violations of the environmental laws have persisted during the new owner's management. In fact, the Health District issued a notice of violation to Wind Waste today for accepting waste in rail cars that spill waste and leachate through ruptured holes in the rail cars.
30 seconds, please.
Of particular concerns are the continuing community complaints about landfill odors. In large part, these odors are being produced by the decay of gypsum contained in enormous volumes of construction and demolition debris accepted at the landfill. In 2022, for example, the landfill accepted more than 2 million tons of construction and demolition debris. Gypsum mixed with solid waste in the landfill decays and produces hydrogen sulfide gas, which is a toxic gas that smells like rotten eggs. To the board's knowledge, the landfill's customers make little or no effort to recycle gypsum, but instead dump it in the landfill even though gypsum is recyclable. Moreover, much of the gypsum accepted in the landfill is pulverized, which means the rate of hydrogen sulfide production increases. The Board of Health is in the process of purchasing and installing 2 air pollution monitors to measure the concentrations of hydrogen sulfide as well as another harmful pollutant from the landfill, sulfur dioxide, in the air near the landfill. We expect that these monitors will provide useful evidence about the landfill's odors and air pollution. The Health Department also has ramped up its landfill inspections to monitor for odors. The Board of Health also has commissioned an environmental impact study to identify and evaluate the harm the landfill expansion will cause. If approved, the landfill expansion will negatively impact Seneca County's residents' quality of life, water, air, and property values. We request that the Ohio EPA not act on the expansion until it has the benefit of our environmental impact study to evaluate the additional damage this expansion would cause in Seneca County. The landfill already accepts too much waste by rail car to unload the rail cars quickly and efficiently. As a result, loaded rail cars stand for hours on public roads near the landfill while blocking traffic. The waste-filled rail cars also sit on the railroad tracks in Fostoria's residential neighborhoods. Some of the rail cars are in deteriorated condition and leaked waste and leachate. Landfill expansion would continue to impose these impacts on the county and increase the daily waste receipts would make them worse. Given the landfill's history of violating Ohio's environmental laws, even when under administrative orders and court orders, the Board of Health does not believe the landfill's compliance record merits the landfill's expansion. Wind Waste has not demonstrated that it has the will and ability to operate the landfill in compliance with environmental requirements while receiving an average of 7,275 tons per day, increasing its daily waste receipts to as much as 12,000 tons per day.
Dr. Wolf,
would make compliance
ask your final statement.
even more unlikely. I'm right there. Ohio EPA should not trust the landfill to safely manage one of the largest daily waste volumes in the country when it has not demonstrated any ability to operate in compliance with the law. Therefore, the Board of Health requests that the Ohio EPA not allow the landfill to expand its size or increase its daily intake. Thank you for your attention and consideration of these comments.
Thank you. Next will be Anthony Paradiso. On deck behind Anthony is Ashley Stahl.
Good evening. My name is Anthony Paradiso, Seneca County Commissioner, and I'm here with the other two commissioners, Tyler Schuff and Bill Franker. I've submitted my testimony, and I would like to just make a few comments for the record. We also will be emailing you some photos that we have on display that you'll get those in the morning. My thing is, I represent the county. I represent these people. Fostoria, Loudoun Township, the county. You're the EPA. You represent the state. You represent more than just that landfill. Everything we've talked about has been the last couple of years, all the good things. We're looking at a monster expansion, okay? We do have train cars. Yes, there are retention ponds located within the borders of the landfill. But how about all those cars that are lined up way outside the landfill, that are leaking, that are causing problems? What's the hurry? Really, what's the hurry? Is it because they have 2 years left? You mean they're maximizing everything they can put in there? That should not come into consideration. We, the commissioners, support the Board of Health's health plan to implement a comprehensive environmental study, which would gauge the impact of the whole area. That's what the EPA is supposed to do, the whole state. This permit is just part of it, okay? This is a public hearing. It's not a box, public hearing. We did this, we did this, we did this. Public hearings are to take into account the feelings of the public. And my colleagues from Loudoun Township, the health department, they're asking to take some time. Our health department has oversight responsibility. The EPA understands that. They have tremendous oversight responsibility. But it seems like they're fighting all the time to get anything done. They get sued, they get delayed, they want to put air monitors in, we can't put it here, we can't put it there. Can we slow this process down and let this flush everything out, get the data, and make an educated decision? This is not about that little area in the landfill and what they're doing. It's about the quality of life in the big picture. I think that's what the EPA's job is. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, I have Ashley Strong. And behind Ashley, I have Logan Wolf.
My name is Ashley Stahl, A-S-H-L-E-Y-S-T-A-H-L. I am a resident of Seneca County, a resident that lives within a mile of the dump, also known as Wind Waste. I've lived here since 2013. I have been to past hearings where the EPA has admitted to not performing sampling and being present to oversee the operations of the landfill, giving excuses like having limited resources, even though the EPA receives majority of the funding brought in from fees generated by the landfill. We really don't care about your excuses anymore. Making sure the landfill is following regulations has become, at minimum, a part-time job for me. A job I'm not getting paid for, a job that has selfishly taken me from my kids at times for meetings, hearings, and research. But how can I stop when my children's health is at risk from lack of regulation over this place? My water has been tested, and the most recent results have PCBs and PFAs present. Those are not naturally occurring and are forever chemicals going into my children's bodies. Other high values we have in our water are just blown off by claiming that they're naturally occurring for this area, but we have no evidence to know if that's true or not. We just have to trust. And before I hear one more time, can you prove it's the landfill? No, you prove it's not. That's your job. You are to protect our health and environment, and the landfill is the biggest offender around, with an offensive history and a known non-community partner contribution, with their constant lawsuits against anyone brave enough to stand up, investigate, or place restrictions upon them. I could only hope that the landfill is actually doing what they say they are, because honestly, that would make a much better outcome. However, self-monitoring leaves no solid evidence in checks, as well as the fact that it's very unsettling feeling when the health department wants to start regulating more and placing more restrictions, they immediately try to remove them as an overseeing authority and sue them. If they aren't doing anything wrong, why wouldn't they welcome the oversight if they actually want to earn back the trust of the community? I sat at a hearing last year where the landfill equipped a lineup of men in suits who only spoke about the landfill and how great it is. Actually, that kind of happened again tonight. Not why it should have been granted the permit. Men who are employed by the landfill or are reaping financial benefit from it, and to boot, they don't even live around here. And they were heard over the many people speaking just to have their legitimate concerns of their quality of life investigated. I will leave you with some facts as to why the landfill should not be permitted in expansion. 1, PFAs and PCBs are present in the water. 2, they have not been granted an operating permit from the local health department for 2023 or 2024. 3, according to their self-reported daily tonnage reports, the daily max is often not met as is, so there really is no need to increase.
30 seconds, please.
Increasing would only leave longer lengths of times for rail cars to sit full of trash and leaking. House Bill 592 has given local control to the county health department through conditions on the permit, to which the landfill responded with several lawsuits. The Solid Waste District was also given authority in House Bill 592 to include rules in the host agreement, to which the landfill also responded with a lawsuit. The host agreement clearly states that the hours of operation are from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., which, side note, they're already breaking, ask me how I know. But also with more tonnage, they would be a 24/7 operation, which would guarantee that they would be in violation of the host agreement.
Final statement, please.
They constantly deceive the public, for example, saying they invest in our community by installing a gas conversion system. We haven't forgotten that that was mandated, not an act of will or care from Wind Waste. I could go on, but hopefully my point is proven. More oversight, more studies, more sampling and inspections need to occur to the current site before an expansion should even remotely be considered. If you can't put a 100% guarantee on my health, on my children's health, on the health of my neighbors and anybody in the area, and their quality of life from this landfill expansion, we don't want it.
Thank you. Logan Wolf. On deck behind Logan is, looks like David Meyer. Sorry.
Hi, my name is Logan Wolf, WOLPH. I'm not going to get to all of this, but I'll get to what I can. My name is Logan Wolf, and I'm a lifelong resident of Fostoria, Ohio. I've spent the majority of my life living under the threat of the landfill and attending numerous public EPA hearings since the age of 16. I've witnessed since that young age the lack of environmental prevention, which has been proven over and over. The current score for these public hearings is Fostoria 0 and EPA 100% wins. The public hearing process has been referred to as a dog and pony show because the public outcry is met with inaction. Today I'm here to one last time attempt to protect our human rights and provide specific state and federal laws and regulations that are relevant to this issue of permit denial. First, we hear that the Interstate Commerce Clause prevents anyone from doing anything about the amount of out-of-state waste entering our landfill. I want to remind everyone here that this clause does not apply to the landfill once they take possession of it and load it onto their own rail cars. It is no longer out-of-state waste once they take possession. Again, our problem is not with the origin of the waste, our problem is with the amount of waste, regardless of where it comes from. The authorized maximum daily waste receipt has increased with every permit, and yet there's absolutely no basis for the increase. In fact, 91 violations, 11 director's findings and final orders, and 6 judicial orders are proof that the daily allowed tonnage is set too high already and should never be increased. The law states that they must reserve capacity for local waste. We would have 100 years of capacity if the Ohio EPA would decrease the allowed daily intake to the amount that we produce locally. At current levels, we will be full at the end of 2025, but if the tonnage were scaled back, we could protect the community of future risks and reserve capacity for 14 years if the tonnage were set at, let's say, 1,400 tons per day. This is still well above the average intake of most local landfills. Most local landfills take in only about 200 tons per day, while ours is 50 times that size. We do not have 50 inspectors to provide oversight for this massive size, nor is it safe to concentrate so much waste in one area and risk groundwater contamination that results from the inevitable liner leaks. Twice, in 2013 and again in 2023, the landfill has filled up 7 years prematurely and proven that they cannot handle an increase in tonnage without violating state laws on reserve capacity. The increased tonnage also would cause rail cars to sit and leak and increase other environmental risks to the community. Next, the permit allowed a max of 400 tons of SO2 per year, and the landfill was recently putting out 140 tons per month of SO2. They actually reached nearly 3,000 tons per rolling year of SO2, which is nearly 10 times the allowed amount. This was in the recent past, not decades ago. The amount of harmful gas was likely much higher since they installed SO2 monitors, which were also court-ordered, and placed them opposite of the prevailing wind direction. The history of hazardous H2S and SO2 pollution was reason enough to limit the daily allowed tonnage. These are my final statements. The last plan was required to get us to 2031 capacity. This is proof that they are not abiding by state laws, and this is the second time they have violated the solid waste laws for reserve capacity for local waste. Why would anyone allow an expansion, let alone an increase in tonnage, if we only account for 2% of the waste deposited each day and are filling up way too fast? The list of reasons to deny is becoming endless, and the final straw is knowing that House Bill 592 gave us local control, but we are unable to use any local control because the $1 trillion investment company is suing every local agency that makes any attempt to protect the public health and safety. Then they call themselves an asset to the community. We have had enough of the PR campaigns and want the Ohio EPA to finally listen to the people. An expansion is not necessary. A decrease in the tonnage would provide us with the adequate capacity. It is time they find another place to dump. The future cleanup costs will devastate our area and cost the state millions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, David Meyer. David Meyer. All right. Next up is Carl Walters. And then on deck behind Carl we have Don, looks like Don Mennel.
Hi, my name is Carl Walters. I'm a lifetime resident of Fostoria, Ohio. It's Karwalters, and I'd just like to offer a couple things on. One thing I would like to make a comment on is kind of along Bob Podek's thing about the landfill is located directly adjacent to the Portage River. But I would remind everyone that the term river is a misnomer. It's more like the Portage Ditch. It's basically dumping whatever goes in there, basically goes directly into the water intake system of Fostoria because of the size of the tributary, which I think is important. And it's a regional water system. It goes to Arcadia. I think it goes to New Regal, maybe Rising Sun. So it's not just Fostoria's water supply that's threatened if we have some issue out there. I would like to, I'd like to say that I'd like to bring up the subject of the red herring. They always talk about the issue of the ICC clause, and yeah, we have to take out state waste. Well, there's a move afoot in our state government, and I'm not advocating for or against windmills, but the state government has gone a long way to let local authorities ban windmills and keep state agencies from pulling a rug out from underneath local officials, so to speak. But they don't generally do that as far as landfills goes, which is why our EPA is doing everything they can to undermine our local health department. You put the onus on the health department to say, hey, they're responsible for protecting our health, but if they try, then you guys pull the rug out from underneath them, or at least the state government does, if you guys don't specifically. And I don't think that's a good thing. I'm going to read a quote, and it's from Cleveland Com, and it's about the difference between the way we've handled the nuisance of windmills or the aesthetics, whatever people don't like about them, versus how we deal with the effects of landfills. It says, okay, it says Ohio was on its way to becoming a bright spot for renewable energy until the Ohio legislature had other ideas. In 2014, the General Assembly opposed a 2-year freeze on mandates that required utilities to obtain some power from renewable sources. It also changed the setback requirement for wind turbines, making it impossible for wind developers to site turbines close enough together to create a viable wind farm. If the Ohio EPA can find ways around the ICC with windmills, I think the state legislature could do the same for landfills so that we would not be in this situation. My last thought is wind farms or sunny farms, whatever you want to call them, has had a slew of obvious problems for going on 15 years now. I'd ask you, in terms of what local residents are facing, what is sustainable? If we double this situation, is it going to be better? The people that have rail cars with trash blowing in their yard, effluent dripping out on their lawns, is it going to be better if you double it? That's your guys' decision.
Thank you. And then on deck we have Danny Opperman.
My name is Don Mennell, M-E-N-N-E-L. I'm the mayor of Fostoria, Ohio. On July 18, 2023, the Fostoria City Council unanimously passed a resolution opposing the expansion of the landfill and asked that this permit not be granted.
Thank you. Next up, Danny Opperman. Danny Opperman. Next up, we have Tom Demick. Tom Demick. All right. Ray Armstrong. Ray Armstrong.
There's nobody around, I got more I'd like to say.
All right. Next up is Frank. Is it Backmeyer? Frank Backmeyer.
My name's Frank Burtmeyer, B-I-R-K-M-I-R-E. A few years ago, when Myers and Shift owned that dump, they had a deal on the radio about going too high and screwing the thing up. They had a guy make a statement at that time. And around the same, no, how I'm gonna put it. The spark plug plant had a oil or oil spill, or whatever you want to call it, north end of town. It was either spark plug or Bendix. They polluted the water at there, and whole Fleckner Heights out there had to have city water. The guy working there at a meeting just like this, was around that time, put 5 or 6 barrels of that oil in the old dump, Myers and Shift dump. And if they run their big equipment in there and dig that up, they're going to have to supply a lot of water someplace. And I don't know what the chemical was. I think it's you guys' job should be looking it up to find out what it is and checking them wells for that chemical.
Thank you. Next up, J.D. Person. JD?
Scientists, thanks again. So hopefully you guys can understand our market cynicism. And we appreciate you guys bringing out all the pros and the experts. It's that we're not saying you guys aren't good at running backhoes. We aren't saying you guys aren't good at writing essays. Because hell, you wrote 300 of them. They're all great. It's just that you aren't good at having credibility. You work for a company with $50 million frozen that operates daily with $50 million frozen. You think that we don't think that every one of you is bought and sold? We know for a fact. You're bought and sold. If you do it for half, then call me a liar. If you do it for half, but I know you wouldn't. One of my big problems is, Mr. Music talks about the changes in the gas, and it had to happen, and like these things went up and down. Well, and this is rhetorical, but did you ever think about just ceasing operations and getting your house in order? Like, just stop. Do you think any of this would have happened? We would be sitting here now fighting over this if you would have stopped, got your house in order, and made things work. But you didn't. Totally fine with working outside of the EPA standards. That's our issue, is a complete dereliction of duty and questioning our safety on a daily basis. The experts talk about we need a dump. We don't. You do. That is your revenue stream. We have zero to gain from this. This is what you need, not what we need. That's what $50 million with cash just sitting there. And you trust these guys. I don't. Mr. Nutter talks about, we send so much trash out of state. Well, our fight's not with those guys. They're doing it right. You guys can't get a damn tarp on a rail car. And you want to tell me that, we send all our trash out. Well, they do it right. We don't have a fight with them. So, scientists, please, we implore you. If you have to kick the can for 6 months, kick it for 6 months. Protect us.
Thank you. Next up, I have, is it Mark? Is it Desmond? And on deck, behind Mark, I have Mark Bowman.
Mark Depinet, D-E-P-I-N-E-T. I don't have a sales pitch. I don't have a contract up for renew. I'm not here for a bonus. Maybe you guys aren't. I appreciate making efforts or acknowledge making efforts to make improvements, but there's so much wrong with what's going on already up to this point. And to even think about increasing it by 60% the volume just makes no sense. And for you guys, the EPA, yeah, I know we're going through a motion here. You're required to have a public hearing. You're doing that. I hope you're listening. Every one of our elected officials, pretty much, representing from Fostoria's mayor to our township trustees, to our county commissioners. Bill Reineke's made strides with the House bill. I appreciate everything everybody's done. Mike Cool's comments, I'm going to repeat some of those. I just appreciate what people are doing to try to get a grip on things. But you guys all, maybe not all, but if you don't, have children, grandchildren, parents, you have a family. You should have morals, you should have conscience. You want to put this in your backyard? I don't think so. You got future generations are the ones that are going to suffer, not lining the pockets of the people that are sitting out here. You know, people are looking for work every day. You can downscale this thing, you know, and kill, you know, keep things going. But where's it going to end? Like I say, future plans. What's the plans? They keep requiring wanting to expand and expand, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years down the road, what's the picture gonna be? This 30-year liability and $55 million, that's a freaking joke. That's a farce. I was in an environmental company for 13 years. I have no paperwork, no degree. I'm not overly educated, but I was around the systems enough to know that them freaking ponds sitting out there along 23 that you're gonna relocate, and there's not one sand filter, not one carbon cell, there's not one treatment of any sort to that water that hits either Wolf Creek or Portage River and ends up in our aquifer system.
30 seconds, please.
I processed the page this morning with our aquifer system in this particular area, right where the landfill sits. We're at 500 gallons per minute, one of the largest in the country as far as our underground water system. When that water when it gets contaminated, good luck controlling it. So, I don't know, it's disturbing. I mean, it's one thing to maintain what you're doing now, to ask for the expansion is ridiculous. There's too much at stake. I could go on and on, it's gonna cut me off. When everybody around this area goes through recycling, I try to do everything I can, recycle everything I can. Got a lot of guys in the room that recycle, and they all take the time and the effort, you haul stuff here, you haul stuff there, they truck it around and do our part, and then what do we get in return? A big freaking mountain of trash from other countries or other states, the East Coast. It's ridiculous. And I think the only thing, as far as, the House bill passing is a step in the right direction. It's all about big money and lining everybody's pockets, whatever. You got volume, you get every ton that comes in, we gotta increase it to make more money.
Final statement, please.
No, my final statement, I guess, is you're gonna be, the out-of-state trash, it's just gotta slow down. I think the only way you're gonna slow it down is, they say, the big money. You got a tax on everything you do. Your groceries cost more, you tax your fuel, you tax everything you do. There should be a tax, wind can make their big money, the rail company can make their big money, the people loading the trash on the East Coast can make their big money, but there should be a freaking tax, an excise. They ought to triple the cost of every car that comes in here. You guys take your money and put the other 2/3 into a remediation fund for the local community to deal with the freaking problems in the future. I guess, closing statement, would be, I'd say, we still need a place to put our trash, but we were 2% of last year. 98% out-of-state trash. We can take care of our own. They need to take care of their own.
Thank you. Mark Bowman. And on deck, I'm Mark, is Alicia, is it Rochelle?
Hello, I'm Mark Bowman. I am the village administrator for Arcadia. And I test the water every day for my chlorine. We get our water from Fostoria. And we know Fostoria pumps out of the creek into our reservoirs, Res 5 and Res 6. And then it goes to the Fostoria, and then it gets filtered and stuff to us, and then it comes to ours on State Route 12, where we have a chlorinator system. I test it every day, 2 locations, at the pump station and then anywhere in the village or out at Red Hawk Golf Course. Also feeds from Fostoria water. Once a month we do a bacteria test, and every 3 months we do the TTHMs. I'm sure you're familiar with that. If not, then maybe you should Google it. But that's a requirement for what we have to do for our drinking water. I don't know what your requirements are as far as the water coming into maybe possibly leaking or something. I know I heard you talk earlier, and you said that, you know, possibility of you know, there is landfills that leak. I used to work for Sunny Farms back in 2011. And we all know during 9/11, just shortly after, we've got a lot of debris from 9/11. And I'm sure you guys right here probably didn't work there at the time or don't even know about it. But hats off to you guys that run excavators, dozers, and the dump trucks. And I know what you guys go through. I honor your hard work that you guys do, okay? But there is a lot of steel buried in that. A lot of cable, a lot of I-beams that came from 9/11. And I just wanted to make sure that you guys are on the same page as what we are as far as Arcadia, our concerns, and I'm also speaking for the Washington Township trustees. They are against us also. And I just wanted to make sure that I'm heard and the village of Arcadia is heard too. Thank you.
Thank you. Alicia. And then on deck behind Alicia is Allison Bowman.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alicia Wolfershong, R-O-S-H-O-N-G, and I am I'm a business owner in the city of Astoria. I was born and raised here. I own the Dairy Queen with my brother, Clay. I own a title company, and I own my own law firm, which is also downtown on Main Street. I was one of the attorneys that was initially approached about suing Sunny Farms landfill. We actually started investigating. We started looking into it. How a litigation attorney can go after an entity is usually through monetary damages. So we started looking into every way that maybe we could find different causes of action. And at the end of the day, what we discovered, first of all, though, in our research, what was very, very disconcerting was medical issues that were coming up and arising. We saw, and when I say medical issues, I mean countless, that occurred within years of all of these problems. So after reviewing, though, the statutes and the laws, what we came to realize was the only class action that we could actually go after was something of a nuisance. So we tackled them as far as the smell goes. And we did file a lawsuit for nuisance damage on this odor. We were successful. We have dealt with that part of it. But the bigger problem, I believe, is the environmental raw issues. When you can actually see the environment and you can see physical manifestations in the water, in people's health, in those things, there is something happening. Nobody can say otherwise. So what we also recognized at that point was, okay, what policing entity is involved and what can we do to maybe spur on something? But again, after really delving into the law, it's very clear as a bell that the EPA is the policing agency for environmental impacts. So on that note, we can nip at their heels and try to get them through nuisances and, you know, take a little bite here and a little bite there. But we can only do so much. I mean, there's only so many claims we can go after. So my plea tonight is you are the EPA. You are the Environmental Protection Agency. This is our environment, and the environment affects every single one of these citizens and their health. We just implore you, do your job and stop looking for the litigators to nip at them when you guys have the ability to restore the city to the environmental, health that it had at one time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, next up, I had Allison Bowman. On deck after Allison is Julie Teal.
Allison Bowman, B-O-W-M-A-N. I am a Central Committee member for Washington Township, and I am here to represent my constituents, and I would like to ask you to deny the expansion on their behalf. Thank you.
Thank you. Julie Teal? Is Julie still here? All right, and then lastly we have Brian Schalk. Brian Schalk. All right. All right, those are the testimony cards that we have received. Is there anyone else present that wishes to testify? All right, fine. Do you want to step forward? I'm going to spell your name for the record.
My name is Margaret Weinandy, W-E-I-N-A-N-D-Y. My husband and I bought a farm real close to, just off of 224, on a dead-end road, real close to their place. We bought it in 86. We've raised our kids, we've had a good life. But this place has been a pain. We live on a dead-end road, and there's a train will park right on my road, and I have no way of getting in and out. I can call 911, and I will get no help because you guys park your trains on that road, and that's where it's sitting. And you're giving me 3 minutes? Well, what happens when I'm sitting there for 2 hours waiting for a damn train to move? How would you like to do that? And there's times it's more than just 2 hours. I've already sat there it started in the morning, and it didn't leave until after dark. So I don't know what time it left. All day, I couldn't move in or out. Well, how am I supposed to get in and out? Okay? And you want to know where my husband is? We buried him in August. He had cancer. I'm not saying you guys caused it, but guess what? I think you did. And you know what? I don't know if you did or not, but I would be looking into it if I was you to see if whether or not there's cancer around our area. And you just stand there and say that it's all safe? I don't think it is. You know it and I know it. We all know it's not safe. And look at all these nice little people sitting here. All of us that have jobs, they're all leaving. These guys that getting paid by Sonny, they're sitting right here. They're not leaving because they're getting paid. And they're going to sit here all this time because Sonny's giving them a bonus to sit here. You know it, I know it. And I know you're going to give me my 3 minutes, aren't you? When are you going to stop the trains from coming in and ruining our land? And I'll tell you, my farm, you're never going to get 1 teaspoon of my land. I've already set it up. You will never get any of it. I will protect my land, and I will protect every inch of it. And you will never get it. You will never dig into it. You'll never build that hill any higher using my land. And I hope that other farmers around will do the same thing, because nobody should be contributing to this. We need to stop it. We need to protect ourselves. We need to protect our children and our grandchildren. Can you do that for us? You, EPA, will you do that to us? Will you protect us? Oh, are you dead? He's dead. Look at him, he's dead. He doesn't have a smile. Can you at least smile? Ooh. You're an idiot.
Thank you. Anyone else here that wishes to testify? State and spell your name on the record.
Steve Smith. You need to spell it? Okay. I come to this meeting tonight unprepared. I just want to sit and listen. I come to this meeting tonight unprepared to speak. I've heard a lot of concerns. As far as the last lady here, I think the landfill ought to build an overpass. Railroad track. How is the EMS going to get back there? Any answers? Probably not. We've dealt with FERC and EPA on the Rover pipeline. There's 21 miles of pipeline, double 40-inch pipeline in Seneca County. We had 3 miles of it ourselves. When they come through, they bought the right-of-way through it. They wasn't allowed to step off of that right-of-way, park a truck, or even when they cut through the woods, they wasn't allowed to drop a tree off that right-of-way until it started raining and their trenches filled up with water. Our lawyers called EPA and they done nothing. They called FERC and they done nothing. So they filed a lawsuit in federal court. All this water, it was pumping it out in our fields. Of course, EPA made them put a structure made of bales with a filter in it. A couple places on our farm, this water all runs sort of down a slope, and they pumped it out. There's a tile out here about 10 feet, 15 feet, just pumping in that. Oh, we can't do that. Well, why not? EPA. They went 250 feet up in our field. They had to pump this water uphill. On our property, they had to come downhill and flooded out how many acres. When it got in court, the federal judge says, well, I read all the memos here. I'm not going to call anybody to testify. I'm not stopping this. Your clients can just sue Rover Pipeline after this is done. I don't sleep until midnight, so. But anyhow, judgment would stop it. So, talk to our lawyers. Hey, we got 3 miles that would be worth your time. No, you don't understand. They got their bases covered. Every farm you have a deed to, you have to sue individual. They got their outs. No, we've dealt with you. As far as a contractor buried a pipeline, we liked them. They done everything they could. We got to be friends with some of them. Matter of fact, the crew that come through our farm out that way was the same crew that put the Dakota Access pipeline in. They was the ones that was getting shot at out there. I still don't get to midnight, but these guys, when they got done, says, you guys here in Ohio are really friendly. Says, as long as you don't lie to us, we realize it. Now, I have a suggestion. Talk about employment. This will work if you can't disagree with me. A lot of stuff's covered from the East Coast. Australian company hauls it here. Have them put it on boats and take it to Australia and bury it. That'll make a lot of jobs and high-paying jobs on the East Coast. They're the ones making the money. Put up with it. They've got a lot of wasteland in Australia rather than taking farm ground out. Now, all you people here, I wish us bored. When you get done here, crumple everything you got and throw these waste paper cans. Why don't you guys pick it up after the meeting, take it home, and throw it in your front yard? You won't mind, will you? And once you start that, take all your garbage from your house and throw it out your front yard for the next year. You all got websites. Put this garbage in front of your house.
Final statement, please.
When I get to it.
Sir, I do ask you for your final statement.
But do that. Think of what you guys had to put up with it. One lady says she's from Minnesota. She don't have to worry about it. How long will that last? Well, either your township, city, or county's going to say you can't do that. You got to clean it up and haul it to a landfill. That's what these people are trying to do. Get some law passed.
For your final statement, please.
These guys are trying to get a law passed that protects their. Like I say, I wasn't prepared to speak, but I agree with them. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Anyone else that wishes to testify? Sorry, state spell your name for the record. Thanks.
My name is Neil Kelbley. I'm an engineer by profession. More importantly, I'm a dad of 4, a grandfather of 10. You guys got a hard decision to make. And I appreciate you guys working. I'm nothing against you guys. You got to make a decision that affects a lot of people. One day I had my daughter come to me. Hardest thing she ever asked me, Dad, what do I do? My son has cancer. 2 years old. Where did it come from? Hell, I don't know. I sure in hell hope it ain't coming from a landfill. And yes, I do not want that landfill to get any bigger, because I live probably about 8 miles away, and I smelled it. My son got cancer, or my grandson got cancer in 2019. Charts are pretty high back then. My dad also had cancer. He's passed away. We just buried him. If you ever had a loved one come up and tell you they've had cancer, it's not easy. You got to be the strong one for your family member, not knowing where it's going to. You want to make sure it lasts, your love lasts for a long time. My little buddy's 5 years old now. He beat it. But his cousin that lives another 8 miles away, he has it too. Just from Bascom. There's another little girl in Newrigo. She has cancer. Now we got another little boy from the church. He's an older guy, but he has cancer. It's all the same cancer. Something's going on. Let's start knocking the things out that may be contributing to it. It's your guys' decision. Help us out. We're all pleading help. I want to thank the county commissioners and the trustees, everybody that's come up here tonight. And hopefully things get resolved for the better of the community of Seneca County. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else that wishes to testify? State spell your name.
Deborah Border, B-O-R-D-E-R. Winway stands here and pat themselves on the back with what you can try to convince is a good job and all the so-called good you think you're doing for the community. But not once have you talked about the thousands of lives you are destroying during the quality of life in our lives. You talk about employing 100+ people as a good thing, but again, what about the thousands of lives you are affecting in a negative way? We live right here, we are breathing the air, drinking the water. You put a lot of hard work in our homes, and you're taking that away. What deep studies have been done in regards to air, water, life, wildlife, botany, and the aquifer? Has there been any studies on the rail cars draining into the ground? In your cancer studies, if there are, Are they posted somewhere in an easy to reach and place for all citizens to see? There are too many unknowns. Then you stand here and ask to double the amount of poison that you're already dumping on us. No pun intended. If you act as if becoming the largest landfill in Ohio is a good thing, it isn't. Do you want to just take over all of Loudoun Township, Seneca County? We all know that landfills are here to stay, but the size of this landfill is already out of hand, and we don't want any more. When is enough enough? Thank you.
Thank you. Last call for testimony.
Good evening. Pam Bibler, P-A-M-B-I-B-L-E-R from Washington Township. I just want to get two things on the record, so I'll be quick. You can be grateful for that. The first item is what they're dealing with is just tragedy. And we seem to have this thing in Ohio where we're very short-sighted and we're not looking down the road. For example, the destruction of our agricultural land. That's very concerning to me. That's our food source. It takes 1,000 years to make dirt. We're not going to make more dirt. So by granting this expansion, they're looking at buying up agricultural land and destroying our food source to put in a 100-acre pond. Can't grow food on a pond or a lake, whatever they want to call it. So I am concerned about the destruction of agriculture that this will create. The other thing I'm curious about is how you collect data on what this really does to the businesses. I live near Arcadia. I can go to Findlay, I can go to Fostoria, either way. So one evening last fall, if all these corrections have been made and I hear things about the odor and see it on Facebook, my husband and I came into Bob Evans in Fostoria, walked out, I about lost my dinner and said, oh my Lord, what is this smell? And it took me a few minutes to realize this was probably the smell that these residents live with. Unbelievable. At the north side of Fostoria. So am I going to go to Fostoria to eat again? Why take that chance when I can drive to Bowling Green, or I can drive to Findlay, or I can drive to Tiffin? So how do you know what it's doing to the other businesses? I mean, EPA, you should be worried about the air quality and the smell outside of Bob Evans. I don't know. How do you quantify what that's doing to the businesses within Fostoria, let alone the people that live here? They're trying to work here. And, you know, once you get a reputation, I don't know how you fix that. So I would just think looking down the road is really important for the city of Fostoria and our agricultural land that surrounds it. That's it.
Thank you. All right, last call, any final testimony? All right, if there are no more, we will go ahead and close out the hearing. Oops. All right, so as far as next steps, we will collect comments on the draft permits through February 19th, close of business. We do consider all comments received during the public comment period hearing when reviewing the permit application. And again, based on review of all those comments and all the information and recommendations made, whether to issue or deny a permit, and then the director's action and a response to comments document, which is a response to all the comments we have collected tonight, will be made available to the public. And again, this is the email address and also a U.S. mail address that we can accept comments after tonight through the 19th of February. And this is also on the FAQ sheet in the back. All right, I do want to thank you for coming out tonight and for your interest and your passion in this issue, and your also I respect your courtesy tonight. So I do appreciate that. So on behalf of my fellow panelists and my agent colleagues here tonight, I do thank you for your cooperation and participation. It is a little late, so I ask you to drive please safely tonight. The time is now 10:06, and this hearing is adjourned. Thank you.